Everybody, we're joined by the mayor of Blakely, Mr. Rick Hall. And Rick, it's good to be with you. And how do you feel about this?
Well, I tell you, it's not often that you associate Blakely, Georgia with winter wonderland, but that's what we're having today. And it's the first time since February the 10th of 1973 that we've had snow to accumulate. So once every 37 years, it's quite an event here in the small town of Blakely.
It sure is. Now, have you been able to speak with a lot of the residents around town? What's the general feel? I've spoken with plenty of people, and they're just opening their arms to the snow. What's the general feel from the folks?
Oh, everybody's having a ball. It's not an inconvenience at all, and they're just riding around and rubbernecking and taking pictures. And in fact, my wife and I just came back from the farm. We were doing the same thing, taking pictures out in the woods and things. So it's beautiful.
And Rick, we got to get serious here for a second. There is quite a bit of snow and quite a bit of slush now starting to accumulate on the roadways. What do you want to tell the people of Blakely and the people of really the state of Georgia and all across the southeast while they're trying to come encounter with a winter storm like this?
Well, the roads are beginning to slush. It has finally gotten down to 32 degrees, and so in talking with the EMS folks and the Department of Public Safety, they're going to be out and going to be watching because we're not used to driving in these conditions. So I would just remind everybody to be extremely careful. The bridges have been sanded, but once you have been out and seen it, go home and play in the yard and stay off the streets because the later it gets, the more dangerous it's going to be.
You heard it from the mayor himself, folks. Hunker down. The snow. Casanova's going to be able to tell you exactly when this stuff is coming to an end. We're going to go to him right now with the very latest from Titan HD Radar and your Storm Team forecast. Cass, I wish I was warm, but I got to say the snow is just unbelievable. The feel here is terrific.
I bet it is, Sean. That's really a scenic view and probably nice to look at from home and probably even nicer to be right out in it. Here's Titan radar, and usually when we associate green on the radar, it usually means rain. But just to the north of Blakely, we do see a little bit of pink in the northern sections of Early County and points to the north, and then white as you head towards the extreme eastern counties of eastern Alabama, and that's indicating where we have that transition from liquid precipitation to frozen. But we do have a little bit of that mixing in, and sometimes the radar, it really crunches a bunch of calculations to try to determine where the frozen precipitation is, and it is pretty accurate for the most part, as that transition line, according to the radar, was just to the north of Blakely. But as you saw with the live shot, it is definitely coming down fairly decently, and that's been the case for much of the interior of southwestern Georgia and most of southeast Alabama, where temperatures have been sufficiently cold to support that activity. Temperatures near or just above freezing for most cases. But here in the Big Bend in south central Georgia, we've been stuck right around 39 to 40 all day long, and that's not really going to support a lot of frozen precipitation. Here's some exact figures for certain points in the region. At the last check in Tallahassee Regional, 42 degrees. Thomasville is still holding at 39. Valdosta was at 41 degrees at last check. So definitely a little bit of a cool trend. Very cold out there, but with the light rain that's been taking place throughout the area, it's just not been supportive of any sort of frozen precipitation. Unlike this morning, when we did have a little bit of a mix right around the metro area of Tallahassee, that's simply because the rain that was falling into a drier air mass evaporated, and once it evaporates, it cools the air around it. So as more and more precipitation fell into that temporary cool pocket, it actually began to freeze and cause a little mix. But for the bulk of the day today, just some areas of light rain. We put on the rain snow enhancement part of the radar, and we'll shift around towards the southeastern areas. Again, Blakely, we are seeing that snow activity just on the verge of the city, and even stretching towards the tri-state area. This is Jackson County, and in the Marianna vicinity, we've been having some occurring snowfall, and a lot of this is beginning to move its way into more of the extreme southwestern Georgia counties. So Seminole County, if we can get enough cold air wrapping around on that north wind, it is possible you can get a little bit of snow in the near-term future. Marianna, Clarksville area has also had some snow, perhaps even as far south as Blountstown, although I haven't had any confirmed reports of that sort of activity happening. You can see the progress over the past hour, especially focusing in on this. This is where the best chance of frozen precipitation will be within the next hour, scooting towards Lake Seminole, perhaps near Bainbridge, the city of Colquitt, and perhaps even farther east along the state line. There could be a brief period of time where you get maybe a mix or maybe just a quick shot of all snow. It's not going to accumulate. If you see a few flakes in Tallahassee or Valdosta, it's not going to accumulate the way it has in Blakely. We just don't have the same elements in place. A little more of a warmer influence that we've been into for much of the day today. But as we head past tonight and into tomorrow, if you want that sunshine to return, it is definitely going to return. But the cold air is definitely going to stay as well and even be reinforced with our new ridge of high pressure. Almost like what we had back in January, we are facing several mornings of temperatures that will be below freezing and daytime highs that will be stuck mostly in the 50s. Here's how it looks for the next several days ahead. 27 for the airport tonight. Most locations will get into the mid and upper 20s and probably upper 20s to near 30 at the coast. Highs tomorrow maybe making a run towards 50, but it will be a struggle. Sunday morning, very cold. And then Monday, we have another front. And I will go ahead and say there is another chance for perhaps a little bit of frozen precipitation. Not the same dimensions that we have right now as far as the weather pattern goes, but certainly there could be enough moisture with this front coming through on Monday to maybe we could have, I hesitate to say round 2, but the chances are in there for it.
And this low is actually a little bit, closer to the freezing point, so it might even be better?
Well, the cold air is definitely going to be in place. This is going to be a front coming through on Monday. What we had was a Gulf system that had a lot of moisture and really helped to produce all the rain we had. So this next system for Monday will be a little moisture starved, so it doesn't look like the widespread chances that we have now, but still a slight chance.
It is nice to be warm inside here, but I'm a little jealous of Sean out there having some fun in the snow.
That is pretty cool to see.